Okay, y'all. So I just told my girlfriend Jasna, I was like, we just have to hit record. Like, I knew I couldn't talk to you for more than 3 minutes without hitting record because there's just so much fucking epicness every time I talk to you. And I just knew I had to hit record because this is going to be one of the most powerful podcasts you guys will listen to in a long time. Like when Jasna like reached out to me, one of my greatest girlfriends, a human I respect more than anything, she's like, "Can we talk about my book?" I was like, there is no chance in hell that I wouldn't talk about this book because it's everything that every human needs to know. And like there's veins popping out of my neck and we've been talking for 1 second. So I love you and I'm so grateful that you're here.
I love you. I am beyond grateful. And I love you so much. I love who you are. And this is for me and you a full circle moment. We've been talking about this book, the concepts in this book for years.
For years because it's so true and you literally are doing and I wrote it, you guys. I have pages and pages and pages of things that we need to talk about when it comes to this book, but like the number one thing, and I want you to hear it from her, but like I understand she wrote this book not because she has to, like she doesn't have to, and yet she so has to. Does that feel true?
That's precisely how I felt. I don't have to do anything anymore, which is kind of a blessing. It's a beautiful thing. But for years I would go into meditation and prayer. Okay, God, where would you have me go? What would you have me do? I'm an obedient student. I really believe that, listening to that guidance. And it was like, the book, girl. You gotta do the book. I'm like, no, anything other than the book, God. It's like, no, the
No.
book. And I've struggled finding something similar in the marketplace, something that really touches up on the science that I can really understand, and this sense of malaise that we're all collectively feeling. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And it has been a very immense undertaking. You know this. You have seen my life last few years. But I'm so grateful that I did. And if there's one person that reads it and passes it forward and gets into coherence, you know what I always say, heal one, heal them all.
Amen. So now that we've told everyone, like, 2 seconds of who you are, why don't you tell everyone actually who you are and like the book, which has the best title ever, Healer in Heels. Oh my gosh, I'm here for it. But tell everyone who you are besides being the author of a book that will change your fucking life. So you need to read it.
I love you. So I have been a life coach for the last 15 years and a business coach and motivational speaker. I did all of those things even before these things were kind of cool. And I really, in the last probably 5 years, have started looking deeper within for this life. Why am I here? Truly, that I have everything that I have ever wanted and I don't need anything else. Like I could retire tomorrow. What what do I want to do with this precious life that I have left? And that doesn't mean that I don't do the things that I love. I started doing the research into the spirituality and quantum physics, and for the last few years, I really have been, I think, teaching those principles that I believe could change our entire lives because we continue to delegate our power to others who seem or deem worthy, who have more followers, who have more money, better bodies, better cars, etc. Yet we are the ones we have been waiting for. What Jesus said, the kingdom of God is within you, is now fully explained through quantum physics. And I think if we can really understand the power of what mystics have been talking about for millennia, we will realize our own potential and I think create unbelievable things in the world. So that's what I'm teaching right now. So to add to my bio, I am the author of Healer in Heels. I still can't believe that I'm the author. I had zero desire of ever writing anything. And here it is, and I'm very grateful. And Healer in Heels is a metaphor for all of us. And I would go to my spiritual teacher and say, okay, you need to help me. Like, how to fix me, right? What's going on? And he would look at me and he said, kingdom of God is within you. You have everything you need. You can do it yourself. I'm like, dude, I wear fancy dresses and high heels. How am I a healer? And he says, you're a healer in heels. And it really stuck. And it's just this idea that all of us are healers of our own lives. Regardless of what we wear and what we look like, we are the ones that are capable of completely transforming our own lives through the concepts from quantum physics, thermodynamics, studies of prayer, studies from nature, to come into alignment and coherence, to make us whole and realize that we really do not need anything from the outside to fulfill us.
Mm, these are so good. So this book, when I was reading it, to me, it's like almost like a journal. It's like you give us tangible things that you can actually do right now to start healing yourself. And something that you and I completely believe. I was having a conversation with a client before I even read the book. I was like, you are so out of alignment. That's why it feels so hard. Like, I believe to my core, it's what I preach all day, every day. Like, when you are in alignment with your purpose, the calling for your soul, I mean, you can heal yourself. You can get back into alignment. Like, you can literally have the greatest life ever, but so many people are so out of alignment. And I feel like this book is like a tangible guide on how to learn how to get back into alignment, how to trust yourself, how to listen to that still small voice within inside of you.
It's so true. How beautifully put. You have been talking about this for years, drilling it. And I think that you are one of the few people, Christina. You and I have had many, many private conversations. You're one of the few people that actually gets it. And I think that instead of doing all the things and pretending to be all the people, and you're so clear about who you are, what you want, and you are so full of integrity and truth. That is incredible alignment. And in physics explains it beautifully. It's the sense of coherence is a term in physics. And most of us are living in a sense of chaos, which is entropy. And that chaos has very jaggedy waves, right? So everything around us is alive. It's fully palpable, even though we can't see it. So when we're in a state of chaos, we're creating little tornadoes, walking around, literally spreading that crappy energy all around and inviting more of that chaos into our lives. So the entire world around us is a hologram. So if you really seek negentropy, which is the opposite of chaos, that's coherence in physics, all systems align, they come together. So instead of seeking all the courses and all the outfits and all the advice outside, if we were to just slow down for 1 week, I think I write in the book, for really just 1 week, tune out all the noise, make your world very, very small, and listen to the voice within, you're going to come into a sense of very powerful alignment. And when that happens, as within, so without.
So if I am a person who's listening to this podcast right now and goes, this woman has hit the nail on the head. I feel so much chaos. I feel so out of alignment. I feel like, where do I even start? What would you tell someone? Because I know it's written in the book, but what are the first few things that you would do if you felt like you were the person who was spinning outside of control, like you had those mini tornadoes around you?
Yeah, well, it's the thing that I have to come to over and over myself. So this is not something that we ever completely come into alignment unless we're Jesus or Buddha. We're humans. We're going to come in and out of alignment. Every time I raise my voice, every time I lose my patience with my kids, I fall out of alignment. But it's knowing how to get back into it. So the first most important thing for everyone, I think, outside today is to go back to what we just talked about, tune out the noise. So studies are showing that our brains have been radically changed after 2020. Even if we have never been personally affected with illness, we are on the road to overwhelm, an incredible level of incoherence. And we're trying to catch up, but it is impossible because there's so much noise coming in. It is impossible to defend. So I've read somewhere that we're receiving more information today in one day than we did in 1800s in a year. So
Wow.
our brains simply cannot take that on. So we're not processing anything. We're not integrating. We're just consuming, filling our head with more chaos, and we're not integrating. And when we are not integrating and not listening to the voice within, it's very difficult to hear yourself. So that means that we're listening to everyone else outside of us telling us what to do and how to do it. So for 1 week, step away completely from social media, number one. And I am sick and tired of talking about this, but it's a simple prescription that we must. And in 2020, I left social media, and it's been one of the most fascinating things of my life. And I think that we all should find a way to tune that out. So, what is noise to you? Are you going to million happy hours? Are you going to all kinds of events, networking events? Are you watching, constantly listening to podcasts or TV shows, all of the things? Do what Christina does. You watch her live on her stories every single day, going for a walk, right? It's like steal those moments where you can ground yourself a little bit. So when we can remove the negativity and just an influx of so much, then all of a sudden we're slowing down those waves, the chaotic waves. We ground just a little bit. That has tremendous implications for our mental and physical health. And from there, we can take other steps, but that has to be the first one.
Sound, turn off the freaking noise, people. Turn off all of the external. I go for those walks, like Yasna says. I've been going for those walks for over 3 years. I mean, I think I've probably missed a dozen days in 3 years, you guys. And like, I literally will be the first person to tell you, some days I listen to a podcast, but most days it is pure silence. You have to learn how to be quiet, be still. That's when like I hear those God moments, not every day, but like I hear those downloads, those things that I'm supposed to be doing. Like if it's the thing that I need to hear for my business, if it's the thing that I need to hear for my relationship, whatever it is, like if you are not quiet and still, you can't even get those downloads.
It's so true. Remember when we were in LA and we
Yeah.
were somewhere by the water, and in the morning you'll be sitting on the couch with the Bible, I believe, and you were reading and you were doing your devotionals, right? And I would go outside and walk because I needed that. I needed it before the day. And I look back and I'm like, man, like no wonder we're friends. Like
True. And now it's so funny because you use Dr. Hunt. What's her first name again?
Courtney Hunt.
Courtney Hunt. That's right. So Courtney is the one who talks about your circadian rhythms with the sunrise. And you were doing that even before you interviewed with her.
Well, it's so beautiful. So Dr. Courtney Hunt, it's kind of when the student is ready, teachers appear. I've always had this incredible attraction toward the sun. Like I just
Me too.
felt pulled,
Oh,
especially living in Minnesota. My dear God, like just the sunshine. And I always felt like I needed to be among the trees. And I can't explain it, but ever since I was little, I have picture, I can't find it here, but there's a beautiful picture of me on a mountain as a kid with a dog and surrounded by, oh no, I have it.
oh my God. And your dog was named Linda, which I find fucking
Linda, isn't that funny? Like
hilarious.
cool
Oh,
American name, but look at that. Like I have always been among the trees, even as a kid. So, and then what was really brilliant, and Dr. Courtney Hunt is such a valuable resource. I really, really, really love her dearly. If you have a hard time following, just stay for a while and you will get it eventually. But I did not know that sunshine controls our entire physiology, all of our sex hormones. It controls the appetite, like numerous physiological things in the body, cortisol, melatonin, of course. So, sun will heal us. There are these simple prescriptions that we have been told to be afraid of. Like you work more, you don't have the time for that. And now I prefer to frolic in the forest. And I think you've read about that. I think that to me, frolicking in the forest pays dividends and it doesn't take a lot of time. But really finding ways to tune that out, sit with your devotional like you do every morning, or just go for a little walk. Again, I know lives are busy, but if you don't have, I think, 20 minutes to commit to yourself, then you need 3 hours.
yep. That's what everyone says about meditation. And I mean, if you don't have 20 minutes to meditate, well, then you need to spend 2 hours doing it or whatever the whole line is. But it's true. I mean, every single person, if you guys are listening to this podcast and you truly want to feel healing, purpose, peace, number one, you're going to go get Jasna's new book, Healer in Heels, which I love. I told her it should be Healer in Red Bottoms, but we can add that for the Christina version. But you're gonna read the book, because you guys, I swear to you, I would not bullshit you. You guys know that, like, I really don't say anything that I don't believe, and I believe what Jasna put in this book to my absolute core. She knows I do. Before we hit record, she's like, "Thank you for reading it," and I was like, well, no shit. It's everything that I believe. It's, Jasna puts a lot more science behind it, and it's written so, so well, but like, it's the things that I know to be true because I just know it to my core. I know you can heal yourself. I know if you are sick. I know when I was sick, 100%. It was my own fucking doing. I had the ability to heal myself. I mean, it's just, I'm so passionate about it, but there's so many things, and I want to dive into all of them. But like, you can spend 10 minutes and go and get some sun in the morning. If you are sick, that is a first step. Like, I promise you, it is a first step.
It is no amount of money or fame or power is ever going to substitute for the feeling of feeling well mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And we are not okay. We are not okay. We're not okay. Every single day I hear it, we're not okay. And I am susceptible to all of the poisons out there and lowest denominator garbage that's out there, just like everyone else. It's meant and designed to consume us, but we are not okay. And I think that we have to heal, because epigenetically we're going to pass that on, and it's going to get worse and worse with our own kids. But secondly, I really do believe, and this is in the later parts of the book, I believe that, Christina, you and I, we're not just here to consume and move through life. I do believe that God has a purpose for us, that there's a genius that's literally waiting to be awakened. And what's so interesting is I reread parts of the book, and I read it, I'm like, I wrote that? What? Like, you read it and like, that's so good.
It's so good.
It's so good. But a lot of times it came in the early mornings at 3 or 4 a.m.s.
And I've been telling you that for years. You guys, if you have not caught one of Jasna, you need to go to her profile right now. Yes, she's not really on social media, but thank God she has a team that posts it. But she does these beautiful videos. And sometimes her and I have been speaking at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, where she does these beautiful videos. And, we never mention it, but Jasna is not from America, even though she is a proud American, just like myself now. Raise the flag. We love America more than most. We are huge American. Amen. We are American citizens. We love America through and through, but she's originally from Bosnia, and your accent at 3 or 4 in the morning with the background noise, I'm telling you, that could heal some people. Jeez Louise.
I love you, but the book was written in that holy time, in the time where everyone is asleep. I light candles. Very intentionally, I would read, the Bible. I would, listen to the words of Jesus, and I would light menorah candles from the Jewish tradition, and I would listen to Sami Yusuf and some, Rumi, and like, so I covered all the bases, all the faiths in those early mornings, because I really wanted that inspiration, and it flowed through, and I really do believe, know that we are the ones that we have been waiting for, and we can do that. We have to reclaim the power that we have delegated away to marketing agencies, to influencers, to all of the things. And what's so incredible is that when you get there, you don't lack a thing. You desire, you want thing, but you don't lack a thing. And that's the most, and you have seen me, I think you know me. People are like, oh yeah, you don't lack a thing. You have actually, you know me personally so well. You actually know this to be true. And it's the most beautiful feeling. I want to create and I want to build, but I don't need anything. And that's freedom.
100%. I've said this for a few years now. I truly believe I use the word, like, I'm really like at peace. Like, I'm really at this moment where I don't really feel like I need anything. Like, I'm kind of like, I don't even know what the right word is. Nathan, my husband, doesn't love it as much because he's still in that thriving mentality. It's like, I still am totally like wanting more and desire more and have like these big goals, dreams, aspirations. But like I'm in such like a good spot that like I'm okay. Like if nothing were to ever change, I'm okay. Like it's a beautiful place to be in. And from that space and place, and I think you probably agree, that is really where you get so much more because you're totally okay with the life that you've created. You're so happy, content. That's the word I've used. I couldn't think of it, but I'm so content with where I'm at. And yet from that place is where I've been able to achieve so much more.
But you know why that is?
Tell me.
Well, number one, you have arrived. So you are in the state of alignment. You're in the space of negentropy. So you're cohering all of those waves, the energy around you, right? So because everything is a thing. Everything, this table, this phone, this computer, you and I were made of the same thing. When we break everything down all the way to, we thought atoms are the smallest particles, indivisible. That's not true. We go to quarks and subatomic particles to Higgs boson, and then we're just waves of energy that can be manipulated with our thoughts and emotions. This is why quantum physics is so trippy. Its behavior of our particles is forever changed through our own observations. So like, okay, this is really crazy. Where's God in all of this? Well, we are it. We are the emanation of it. We are divine. So when you look at it that way, you are now cohering all of those systems, which means you're affecting absolutely everything around you. And then we move into the law of resonance, which has been wrongly called the law of attraction all of these years. It's a misnomer. In physics, it's actually the law of resonance, which means that you have to, it is the law, resonate at the same level of the things that which you resonate. So when you are in a state of freedom, thank you, God. Thank you, God, for the sign of abundance. You and I are penny. If we find a penny, you're like, thank you, God, for the sign of abundance. If you're not grateful for a penny, how are you grateful for more? And when you are in that state, things come to you effortlessly. Jesus talked about it at length, right? Talked about the manifestation. If you read it in that way, or even the Buddha, the mystics, that when you get into the enlightened stages, all you have to do is think of something and it appears. So the law of resonance right now and all the good coming your way, I believe, is because of who you are, because of your intention, and your intention is very clear and pure. It is to be of service to others first and foremost, and then everything else. And then when that happens, you cannot help yourself, but all of the people who are resonating at that level, who have good intentions, are going to come and support you out of the woodworks. You're like, oh, how is this my life? And it's the most beautiful, effortless way of being. It really is.
And what Yasna said, I think, is unbelievable. Like what you just said right there is 100% exactly the way I feel. Like I feel like I'm so clear on my purpose on this planet. And it's like the thing that I would do, whether I got paid great or whether I didn't. It's the thing that I would do if I was feeling good or if I was feeling bad. Like there is nothing else on this planet that I care about more than what I get to do on a daily basis, because I just believe in it so wholeheartedly. And I believe that that is the reason why God has given me the ability to do it. And that is my calling. Like to me, this is just so unbelievably clear. And you paint the picture in the book so clearly that, when you are in alignment with that, that's when everything becomes easier. And you are the person to create this. Like it is that simple. And when we get in fear, lack, doubt, insecurity, like imposter syndrome, all the things, it's because we're allowing something outside of us to affect that.
Amen. Our emotions are being hijacked by the outside conditions, opinions, and the influx, which is why it's so important to discern the things that are incoming, and surround ourselves with the people that are going to uplift positively our lives and affect our own field. It's incredibly crucial to do just that.
So in the book you talk about, and I believe this as well. So in the book, I know one of the things that people always will say is, how do you get in alignment? Like, what is my alignment? What is my purpose? What do you tell people? Because I know what I say, but what do you say? How do you help people get in alignment with that?
I used to, so I've been doing the coaching work. You and I both have been rare people who are coaching, right?
Fuck, hey, geez, Louise. You guys, there's a lot of coaches out there. Yasna and I have talked about this to the extent that you will never know. We just look at the world that we're in, and sometimes it's embarrassing, but other times we're like, thank God there's people like us that exist, because geez, Louise, if we're leaving it up to fucking, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, we're unicorns. I like to think,
Oh.
and it's a beautiful thing. So been doing it for a very long time, and I think initially when I went to grad school for coaching, and you got all the tools, and it's like there's like you have to walk people through tools, and it was very methodical, and there was a prescription for how do people come into alignment, and it worked with some people, but it didn't with others. And I think it worked previously a lot more because we did not have to deal with this incredibly big problem in our society, which is that of mental health. I think in the last 10 years, progressively has been getting worse. And specifically in the last 3 years, it has I really do think it is the pandemic that we have to attend to first and foremost, because it's going to kill people and it's going to ruin our society. So when I talked to Bob Roth, who is a transcendental teacher, he told me that he's like, it's not even about mental health. It's like, it's the matter of too much. We're carrying too much. And when we're carrying too much, Christina, it is very difficult to find your alignment when you're in so much pain from carrying all this crap every single day. So it really goes back to, you have to first ground and get in coherence and listen to the voice within. Until that happens, we're going to constantly be listening to others in terms of what we need to do. And you and I see this with a lot of the colleagues or the clients that come to me. Every 2 months, it's a new business, or now I'm going to try this course. Now I'm going to try this. I'm like, you're listening to everyone else, but have you asked yourself what aligns with you? What do you really truly want? And I think that comes in the stillness. It comes from that voice. I do believe that every single one of us knows exactly who we are and what we want. And that's probably the scariest thing that can be, because then you have to do something about it. So very often it's easier to numb it or deflect and not go down that route. But if we ground, and if we make the time to ask ourselves, where would you have me go, God? What would you have me do? Send me a sign and make it so clear that I know that it's from you. And with such a reverence for it, the answer always comes, undoubtedly. But you have to tune out the noise. You can hear that voice. And that voice will never, ever guide you in the wrong direction.
Amen. We could stop there, but there's just too much to go on. So, you and I talk about God all the time. And I think where people kind of get tripped up, a lot of people that follow me, follow you, listen to us, are in our circles, we talk heavily about God. But I've always been of the mind that for me, God is a connection to like love and good. And I think people get really, really tripped up in this world. And you mentioned it in the book, which I'm actually really happy you did. There's a big difference between God and a person of faith than religion. And I'd love for you to kind of talk a little bit about that, because I do think that a lot of people, the minute I talk about God or faith, they're kind of like, that's not for me, because they've been wounded by religion. And religion to me is, I am not a religious person. I am a faithful person. God and I have a relationship. We are good. He knows I cuss. He knows I'm sometimes pissed, but we chat throughout the day and he's got my back. And, I know that. But like, I'd love for you to talk about, you talk about the God particle in religion. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think it's really helpful for people to know that I don't think you're really a religious person.
I am not a religious person. I grew up Muslim, wearing the hijab and going to the mosque and reciting prayers in Arabic. I did the whole spiel. And then I came to the United States and went to a Catholic college and started questioning everything. So I do believe that for me, when I say God, I mean love. My children know when I say, "What is God?" and you can just hear them love. They know it. They're saying like, "Where does God live?" Inside of me. When do you feel God? When I feel love, when I'm happy. So I think it is the sense of awe. What I know for sure is in some of my lowest moments in life and in the quiet moments where I'm fully surrendered, I feel a presence that I cannot explain. I feel love grander than anything I have ever felt. I have my own children and I know they love me. This is different. And I do believe that that is the energy in quantum physics. It is the Higgs field, or that was discovered in 2012 and won the Nobel Prize in physics. They didn't make it to the headlines and all the news because we're much more interested in The Bachelor, right? And yet here we have this most fundamental particle in the world, in the universe, that's so mind-blowing because it's sometimes it's a wave, sometimes it's a particle. We have no other words for it than God's particle, which is kind of beautiful. So when I mean the God, and I say, you can say universe or source or mother nature, whatever you ascribe to, I think it is extremely important that we all come together. And I talk about that at length. We're canceling each other because of terms that we may be using. When I think if we turn to love in the end, we're all going to come together and cohere all of our systems. The other day when I was talking, I posted a picture of myself in a hijab. And for me, it's a fashion statement. And that's a headscarf. And I was like, okay, I've seen you read the Bible and you light menorah candle. What the heck are you? And I wrote back and said, I'm a child of God. And I really do believe that when we love and accept one another, regardless of how we worship, but we love and respect one another, we come from that perception. And there's so much magic in it. When you look at the spiritual practices that come from all faiths, I have an entire chapter that talks solely about prayer and the science behind prayer and how, believe it or not, prayer actually works. And quantum physics explains precisely how. These are the things that I think stood the test of time. And let's please, in 2023, get off this bandwagon of being so overly literal and canceling each other because of the terms that we use. I think we know better.
You state in the book that, and I loved when you said it, I wrote it down. You said prayer is setting an intention.
It's a focused intention. That is what prayer is. And we know through the studies that intention, meaning our thoughts, is the thing, it's the mouse of consciousness. What do I mean by that? In all of the studies, in the studies of the superposition, this is a quantum physics, at any given time, matter, particles behave like waves, and they're everywhere at the same time. Okay, it sounds really crazy, right? The moment we focus our attention on it, it collapses that wave, it becomes a particle again. It becomes a thing. We're turning thoughts literally into things. So we're turning that potentiality into an actuality. So prayer, intercessory prayer, praying on someone's behalf, is activating the Higgs field. It's activating the field out there that exists, these waves in physics. You literally, it's the law. Just like if you put a finger in the socket, you're going to get shocked. It's the same precise law. If you focus on your future, you're collapsing the quantum wave. If you hold that intention and attention and you pray with it with reverence, it is the law. It must come. It must happen. The problem with us as humans is that we have a very difficult time maintaining that intention over the long time because we fall out of that coherence. But prayer is one of the simple practices, regardless what your faith is and where you come from, whether you're religious or an atheist. What I mean by prayer is a focused intention. You can just say, I am grateful today. Thank you, whoever, whatever, for this day, for this conversation with Christina. That is a prayer. You're putting yourself into the state that changes you and changes literally the reality in which you exist.
I believe it. I want to think about the person who's listening to this and going, well, I have prayed for XYZ thing. Like I'm thinking of a person in my family who's like, I prayed for years for this and it's never happened. What would you tell that person? Like, what is your reply to that? Because I know what mine are, but I'd love for you, for a person who says like prayer is literally setting the intention and you know the science behind it. What would you say to that person who is struggling with the doubt and the fear that comes with not getting exactly what they prayed for?
So this is where science offers a really fabulous answer, and it's not that God is a really mean God that is not answering. We look at those are petitionary prayers, and there's an assumption that God is a butler who obeys all our rules or whatever the higher powers like, and it's always I want this and I want that, and please give it to me. The moment we get in that state, it's very different because we are acknowledging that there is a lack, that I'm in pain, I am suffering, I need something, versus thy will versus my will, right? There is sometimes things that I have wished for or prayed for that didn't come through. And in the end, it was literally the best thing that could have happened because it was somehow protecting me or preparing me for something else. So if you are constantly petitioning and praying for something, it could be even praying for healing or material manifestation of things that you're praying for are not going to come into fruition until you get into resonance with the thing that you're praying for. And that is nothing but physics. So when we're praying for, please God, give me I want this relationship. I want to be in a relationship. Why am I single? Right? It's a powerful prayer. I want a partner to share my life with. But if we turn around in the second breath, say, but there's no available partners out there. There's just no one and they're all awful. You are not in resonance with the thing that you desire. And by law, you are not going to come into the resonance with that thing. So an example or a switch would be, if that is the case, I know that in the past I have not found the partners that I want, but I do believe that they're out there. So please, God, show me the way, orchestrate the things, make me the person that would be in that kind of relationship. So I think it's not disregarding the things that haven't come, but acknowledging them in a very different way. And more importantly, getting ourselves into resonance. And the most powerful way, fastest way to get into resonance with
I could
everything you
guess.
want is
Gratitude.
ta-da!
Oh my God, I didn't even know you. You guys, there's no cheating right there. I promise you, I just fucking knew the answer.
That's
Oh,
it.
I wish I could have. You guys, I promise you, if you're watching this on YouTube, you will know there was no cheating. I just fucking knew the answer.
Ta-da! Thank you. Thank you. The most powerful things, the most powerful two words in the world. I love you and thank you. And if we can get ourselves there, it's beautiful. Kierkegaard, the Danish philosopher, said the prayer does not change God, but it changes the person who is praying. And that if you can get yourself into a state, you as within so without, things are going to come into the presence. And that's why I love this book, and that's why I love the science behind it. It was so mind-boggling. I'm like a detective. I'm like, I get it, but I want to get it more, figure it out. And I read over, gosh, probably 300 books in terms of quantum physics to actually write a book that explains it in such a, I think, very, very accessible
You
way.
are so, okay. So what Yasna is talking about, you guys, if you've never heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza, like Dr. Joe is, huge in the online space. I mean, tons and tons of people. But if you're new to it, like it can feel extremely overwhelming and you don't even fucking know what he's saying. I feel like you have become like the simplified version. You know, like what was that like in school? There used to be like that cheater version of the book. Like here's the real book, but then like here's the cheat version of the book. You've taken all of the science and put the faith with it, and you've taken like some of the stuff that's really hard to understand and made it so palatable. Like you just made it so it's so easy to understand.
Thank you. That is the greatest compliment because I wanted to write a book that I couldn't find out there. A book for someone like when I was looking would have been such a great, I think, resource for me to find those things. So that's the greatest compliment out there by far.
Well, I didn't want to say like dumb it down, but really that's kind of what it is. Like if you need, but no, but honestly, like I'm the type of person. So for 75 hard, I did 75 hard with my husband last year. And one of the rules on 75 hard is when you start a book, you have to finish the book. I don't even remember what the fucking name of the book was, but it was so hard to understand. It was like one of Dr. Joe's like partners or whatever, Dr. Joe, right? Like, and there was so much science behind it. It was a good book, but like, it was also so much that I couldn't understand. You guys, this book, Healer and Heals, I promise you, I read it in what you only gave it to me like a week or so ago. Like I read it in like 3 days, like, and I probably could have read it in one. It's so easy to understand, gives a beautiful examples, and it's just everything that I believe. And that's the reason why I just think for me, it was just so easy to consume. Another tangible that you gave in this book, speaking of guides, you know, obviously you're very, you know, you've got the science behind a lot of things. You got one of the things that you said that I've never actually even thought about before is you said, make a list of guides on your path. And I thought that this was so freaking smart. So explain this concept, but I think that this is brilliant.
Yeah, so it really goes back to this understanding of this field that exists. In quantum physics, it really is trippy. I don't want to get really complex, but there is no concept of time. So it means that um, there will be researchers coming through like in the next 5 years. It's going to be so mind-boggling that we could go back in the past and heal the things that have happened to us 20 years ago that are going to affect us today. I know it sounds really crazy, but we can actually do that. So if there's no time, and if the particles are in that state where we can change them, there is this concept that we could really come into contact, or the energy or the wisdom of the people who have come before us. So I have over there, it's my board of directors, and it's all the people. Hold on, have you seen it, Christina?
I haven't seen yours, but this is brilliant, you guys. Like literally, this is the smartest thing. When I read it in the book, I was like, oh my God, this is genius. You guys, please go check this out on YouTube. Please, please, please.
So this is my board of directors, and there's, Jesus and Mother Teresa and Frida Kahlo and St. Francis of Assisi and Steve Jobs and Wayne Dyer and Maya Angelou and Muhammad. Even
Tell
though
me Abraham's on there because you changed my life with Abraham.
Abraham, well, it doesn't have a picture because it's a right,
I
but
know, but
so those
still, Esther does.
so it's this concept of the board of directors. So these are the people that their energy. We are all energy. These are the people that I consult when I'm writing the book. What should I title it? Healer and Heals. Everyone told me not to do it. They said otherwise. So now if people think I'm crazy enough, right? I think that there is this beautiful concept of who are the people that you really admire, respect the most, dead or alive, and create a collage of them and ask for their guidance. Because what happens is that you are inadvertently collapsing the quantum wave through focused intention by focusing, for example, on, let's say, the Saint Francis of Assisi, and you're looking for guidance on he's an incredible healer. He healed himself with this beautiful relationship with birds and the animal kingdom. You're going to connect with the energy of that healing just by focusing on his and what he represented in this world, because quantum physics tells us the energy can never be destroyed. So we always leave an imprint in the microcosm and the macrocosm of this world, meaning every word we have ever uttered, every creation, every kind act has left ripples in this universe forever and ever and ever. So which is why right now, because when I say we are the ones we have been waiting for, if we come into coherence and start to pray for others and start to bless others, even though we may not like them, we are now changing the trajectory of the future for our children. We're changing the world, and creating your own board of directors. It's a really powerful way to have the people whose spirit and wisdom you want to have on your path.
You guys, that is so good. Rewind that a second, because I know that that's a lot, but when you read it in the book, it just made so much sense. And the science behind it, I think, is so important. The fact that like every kind thought, every positive thing that you're doing is making an impact in your future. And this is why I say all the time, I think I did a post a while back. I said, when you're investing in yourself and you're becoming a better version of yourself and you're becoming more in alignment with like what you're supposed to do on the planet, you are truly changing the future for your children. Like, I believe that to my core. So many people, when they think about investing in themselves and spending the money on themselves, especially mothers, they're always like, oh gosh, I'm so selfish for doing this. Jasna has just given you the science behind why it matters and how you are affecting your children. Like, I think that's just like mic drop freaking moment. Like, thank you for explaining what I have always believed to be true, but thank you for giving people the actual science behind it.
And that's why I'm really love this approach. You and I have always known this and talked about it. My gosh, we've had hour-long conversations talking about these things. I find it so comforting that now I know how it works. It's kind of like, okay, it's not as mysterious as I thought it is. It actually works, and it's really beautiful. And just this thought that, wow, kind of like when I take a shower and, my husband is like, okay, my husband is super, like, he's so protective of this Mother Earth. It's crazy. It's like, you're taking a 5-minute shower. They should be shorter. I'm like, dude, I just want to take, I'm like, one shower doesn't matter if I'm like indulging in today. He said, every shower matters. Imagine if every person thought the way you do, right? Imagine if we all cut our showers by a minute, we would be conserving the water. So I'm talking here about the principle. Every kind thought that you think makes this world a better place. So the swirl of energy, anxiousness, and overwhelm the world feeling is the result of all of us and our inner chatter, and it's not good.
I'm just so grateful for this conversation. I truly do believe it. There's a lot of ickiness in the world right now, a lot of very hurt people, and hurt people, and we could go all down the rabbit holes of the things that you and I just don't talk about, of all the chaos and craziness. And I just think to myself, I'm like, if that person was in alignment, that wouldn't happen. Like, I truly do believe that. I don't think that half the shit, all of the horrible things that are happening in this world, you can put yourself in whatever story you think I'm talking about, but that person, if they were in alignment with their purpose, they wouldn't do the things that they're doing. I truly do believe that to my core. And one of the last sentences in the book that I love, because I really do feel like you should have said, instead of choice, you probably should have said decision. It would have really helped my brand. But you said healing is a process and a choice. I would have probably said healing is a process and a decision, but you are the healer. And I believe it to my absolute core. You guys, if you are not in alignment, if you are sick, if you are not well, healing is a process. Jasna said it. I've said it a million times. Neither one of us are perfect. This is not a finish line process. This is, when I tell you I am content, there are some days I am not content. And that is when I have to go back and make the decision that this is a process. And I know my life is so much better when I am in alignment. So it is a daily decision, sometimes hourly for some people. It is healing as a process and a choice. And the only person can do it is you. And just thank you for putting into words the science behind all of the things that I believe. Thank you for being you. The world needed this book. I know you didn't have to do it, but I also know that like you had to do it.
I love that. I'm so grateful to have this conversation. Interestingly, the very first podcast about the book. So I
What?
feel very, very, very first one. I have many lined up, and there's some really exciting things happening now. I feel like the book has a life of its own. I've kind of give birth to it, and right now, the whatever it does, it's supposed to do with the intention with which it was conceived. But first of all, I love you to pieces. You and I, like sisters for life. And I just feel that it's affirming to both of us that we've been doing many of these practices. And it's also beautiful to be able to talk about it and share it with everyone, because we really are the ones who are responsible for creating a better, a more beautiful world. And you are that person for me. So
And
I'm so
I
grateful to be
and I
here.
believe it with you. And I'm just so, so thankful. You guys, Healer and Heals, harness the power of science and spirit to find healing, purpose, and peace. Tell everyone where they can find the book, where they can find you, how to connect with you, all of the above.
You can, I mean, I do show up on Instagram occasionally and the stories, but I have an incredible team at Jasna.Burza. My website, I'm pretty sure you will link it. And then you can find Healer and Heals anywhere you find books, Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Target, Walmart, anywhere where the library, it's going to be coming to a library, and then we're going to have an audiobook in the fall. But the book itself has the most incredible graphics that are just meant to accompany and explain the feelings that we're going through. So I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh, are you going to do the audiobook?
I am going to do
Oh
the
my gosh, you guys, I'm telling you, Yasna's voice with the you need to have like the spiritual music behind it. I'm telling you, it's beautiful. You guys, please, everything is linked in the show notes. The book is just coming out this summer. Please go follow her, listen to her like mornings at 3 a.m. with the candles and your voice. That in itself is healing enough. I love you so much. I'm so proud of you. The world needed this book. You articulated what I believe so, so well. I didn't know the science behind it, but I'm so fucking glad you did. I love you to pieces. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you so, so much. And a really final note, which I think is a blessing for your listeners. All of those recordings and prayers are included in the book in an audio version. So when they buy the book, they'll be able to access all of those things that I sent to you.
Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm telling you, that right there is worth it. Please, 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 please. That in itself will change your life. Go look at the sun and listen to Yasna. You're going to be cured.
I love you so much. Thank you for being a light in this world, Christina.
I love you. Thank you.
Love you.